on CityCast Nashville. Feeling the urge to get away? Well, we've got you covered. Today, we're joined by writer, editor, and travel journalist Amelia Edelman, a professional globetrotter who gets paid to travel the world and write about it. Lucky for us, she calls Nashville home and is here to share her insider tips for winter getaways. But we're not talking about your typical vacations, no sirree. We're talking about glamping. Amelia shares with us the best spots near Nashville, the latest glamping trends, and even some must-know advice, like why reading the fine print could save you from unexpected responsibilities like taking care of a pig. It's Monday, February 10th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. You're quite the world traveler, aka at Amelia E around the world on Instagram. But today we're here to talk about glamping near Nashville. How would you define glamping? What makes it different from traditional camping or a typical outdoor stay?
So it is glamorous camping is where the word comes from, which I think is a little bit silly, but it's accurate, And what's really interesting is glamping actually has a long history, not the word. The word appeared in the Oxford English Dictionary in 2016, interestingly. But the trappings, the sort of the tropes of glamping basically go back in history to like the Romans and the Ottoman Empire. And then also apparently 16th century Scotland is like a big sort of like luxury experiences in nature where people would bring out like these fancy tents and like fancy picnic, whatever, these trappings of like glamorous life, but let's do it al fresco. And you also see that in like safaris in Africa.
Right. Game of Thrones.
Which has like, yeah, that too. Uncomfortable colonialism undertones and Game of Thrones. So it's basically just a tradition of being fancy in nature, which is something that I enjoy. I'm a city kid. I grew up in New York City. And whenever I have tried to do real camping, which I have done, you have to prepare a lot. You have to pack in, pack out. You have to think about so many things. You got to rough it a little bit. You got to maybe like dig a hole in the woods to poop in, all these kinds of things.
Yep, you got to bury that.
Yep, which is like its own experience. And, it can be worth it to really be out there in nature. But there are ways to be out there in nature that are not involving digging poop holes. And I think that's where glamping becomes really attractive to a lot of people, including city kids like me.
Well, I have to say, I hiked for 5 days, part of the Appalachian Trail during the pandemic. And I love that experience. I want to continue doing that. I want to do sections of the trail the rest of my life. However, just maybe going forward, sprinkling in glamping because we stayed in those shelters where the mice are very prevalent and run all over your body throughout the night, and it's just a thing. And so after I finished, just the 5 days, so many people do months at a time, but my 5 days, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a glamper from now on. Like, I don't want mice pooping on my head while I sleep, which did happen every single night I was out there. So tell me about glamping near Nashville. What are the best spots? How far away are they? Where do I go?
What I love about the options that are particularly around us in Nashville is that there's a wide range of types and also prices. That's a big point for me because as a travel journalist, I never want to be recommending something that like half of our readership can't afford, So outside of Nashville, a sort of fan favorite of many is Bolt Farm, which is in Whitwell, Tennessee. It's about 2 hours away. They have a wide range of accommodations. There's these mirror cabins and domes and tree houses. They are all, I believe, $400 to $700 a night range. So that is out. Yeah, that's like out of, they're beautiful. And I've stayed there and it's like, wow, lovely. That's out of range for, most people.
What's a mirror cabin?
These are my favorites on that property. They're these tiny houses that are in the woods and they're glass walls on the inside, but they're like the one-sided mirror. So it's just a mirror from the outside. So you almost can't see it in the woods. Like if you're walking around, it's covered in mirror and it just blends. It just looks like more trees.
Oh.
But from the inside, you're in this like full glass space and you're like, I'm sleeping in the forest. So that's cool.
And nobody can see ends. So you can just be free in the forest.
Naked in the woods.
Everyone's dream.
Pricey. Yeah.
Right.
But there are a lot of options that are not that price range. So the postcard cabins is the recent rebranding name of Getaway houses. Have you heard of Getaway?
Heard of this. Yes.
That's like a sort of national chain. They're all around 2 hours from major cities around the whole country. And those, I checked, and you can get a postcard cabin in Moss, Tennessee, if you wish, for $95.
Whoa.
And that I think is pretty great. I've stayed there before. I stayed with my whole family, and it's really fun. It's a tiny house in the woods. It's not mirrored, but they're really well built.
Are they insulated for the winter time? I just want to be cozy.
Yeah, and they have air conditioning units.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so perfect for the summer and for the winter.
Yeah, I feel like the air conditioning is kind of more important in Tennessee because you're like, wow, I'm going camping and I can't breathe.
Right. Yes, I don't like that.
And then a couple other ones. At Crossing Creeks Farm, which is also within 2 hours drive of Nashville, it's a really cute family-run functioning farm, and they have an A-frame there that's rentable for glamping. And that's $99 a night to start. And then, believe it or not, I recommend also KOA, the good old-fashioned, where you can obviously do like camping and rent tent spot, but they have lodging also. So you can, for pretty affordable, you can get a cabin. They have deluxe cabins that are, I think I also looked, you can get a deluxe cabin for $125.
Wow.
I used to love to stay at the Manchester KOA, which is now under new ownership. It's called the Broken Banjo RV Park, and it's down in Coffee County by Bonnaroo Land. And we used to love to stay in their treehouse cabin, which has a big tree growing up inside the center of the house that my son loved. But there's a Nashville KOA that it's over by Opryland on the Cumberland. And you can stay there on the river for $125 for like a kind of big cabin with a kitchen and everything and a bathroom.
That is unbelievable.
Options.
Do you have a favorite out of those?
I think the postcard cabins, which were Getaway when I stayed there, they're the most really immersed in nature combined with really affordable. And then they're customizable. So it comes with coffee and some dishes, but you can also order add-ons like, oh, I would like to add this meal kit or this s'mores kit. And so you can kind of adjust it to your liking, but it's not going to just be like $700.
I want to get into like the amenities that go along with these types of experiences. So you're saying with the postcard cabins, you can pre-order all sorts of, that's like true glamping. One time I went camping in upstate New York and they asked, would you like us to order you a pizza to be delivered to your site? Which I was like totally there for, it's like, do you that's like the worst, not the worst part. Some people really enjoy that, but like the prepping to go camping. So to be going glamping, like I want everything just done for me. That's the luxury of it, I would assume. So what are the amenities?
Well, then you got to pay more, Marie. You're going to have to go to Bolt Farm. Yeah, because like, for example, at Bolt Farm, when we stayed there, you can get a pizza kit. They have like a pizza oven on the dome porch. You can get s'mores, pancakes. They have all kinds of, add-ons that, you can pre-order. But that is a big thing that it's kind of like you have to think of glamping a little bit like Spirit Airlines.
I love Spirit.
I did too. One of the few travel writers.
You know what you're getting.
Exactly.
I respect that.
But yeah, so you can get a, $95 cabin and be like, great. And you just have to prepare to pack in your food and stuff.
Okay.
Same thing with the A-frame at Crossing Creeks Farm. It doesn't come with anything, but because it's a farm, they have like a functional general store on the property, which is really nice. So then you can just kind of take a nice walk and traipse over there and get some stuff to cook up for dinner. And another one I was going to recommend for like my very favorite hidden gem It's called Grace Tea House. It's on Lookout Mountain, and it is at grace.teahouse on Instagram. And it is a Japanese tea house tea house home built into the side of Lookout Mountain. It is beyond gorgeous. Don't go if you have a fear of heights, because you are just out there. It's so cool. And it's all Japanese architecture style. And you can rent it for, I think it's $400 a night pretty consistently. I looked up prices in December and in May, and they were around the 400 range, which is not cheap. But it's such a really like once in a lifetime bucket list experience. I would still say do it, like go for a couple nights. But that one is a good example. There's a, sort of mini kitchen in there, but you have to bring your food because otherwise you got to turn around and drive back down the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
You just want to stay,
Right.
So do your research.
I'm here with Amelia Edelman, aka Amelia E Around the World on Instagram. You're a content creator. Also, you're a journalist. You get actually paid to capture this type of content as a constant traveler. What are the trends of glamping? How have they evolved? And why do you think it's become so popular?
I do think one of the trends of glamping is becoming more family friendly, being able to make accommodations for kids or even for multi-generational groups, like you're bringing grandparents along so they can share watching the kids. And part of the customizable offerings that are really nice at like I mentioned, at the postcard cabins, they let us pre-order. We love the pre-order, Marie. They let us pre-order like a kid kit that was, I was like, what's this going to be? Is this going to be something dumb? But it was so great. It was a little like nature kit for kids. And there was like a bug catcher in there and different containers for your specimens. And you could catch butterflies with this net. There was like a lot of really cool stuff that was also appropriate to the place, like the woods of Tennessee. And we love that. Another trend is increase in accessibility in general, which means kids, older folks, people with disabilities, just not making every glamping space a treehouse on the edge of a mountain where people can't all physically go. Those certainly still exist and they're beautiful, but a lot more options. And then sustainability is just really a big trend in not just glamping, but travel right now, period. Because if we want to keep traveling, if we want to keep traveling across this planet, we have to have a planet to travel across,
Heard.
We have to just not mess it up.
Right.
And so I think a lot of glamping companies and properties are really trying to use more local materials. Like if you are in the Alps, you're going to be using alpine wood. If you're in Japan, you're going to be building your thing out of bamboo, we hope, like renewable resources to build it and finding renewable sources of energy. Yeah. So you're not just running something on, gas heaters all along. I stayed in a tiny house glamping situation that was 100%. This was not in Tennessee, although bring it to Tennessee. It was in Arizona. It was made of 100% recycled plastic, which was wild. And then the whole water system was powered by the gray water from the shower. So like if you shower, that water was then going in to flush the toilet. So it was just like really making use of even the energy that you can create by being in that tiny house, which is amazing. Mm-hmm.
Is that a trend you're seeing in Tennessee? But you just said that's in Arizona. Like I'm curious.
The plastic recycled house was in Arizona.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's becoming a lot more common everywhere, including in Tennessee. Just thinking about, okay, we've built these glamping sites, but how are they going to be sustainable and functional so that people can be staying in them in 10 years, in 30 years?
Can you share a memorable glamping experience and what made it special or maybe not so special?
Well, I have two. One that was not so special was actually staying in one of these domes that are pretty predominant. You have to be careful with the geodesic domes because they can conduct heat. So I stayed in one that was in a sunny location on a cliff, even in January with the air conditioning on. It melted me and my friends like cosmetics and supply. It melted our stuff in the middle of the day because there were a couple hours around noon where it got so hot in there from just being like the ant in a magnifying glass that, yeah, we had to like spend a couple hours outside in midday in January because of science. So keep that in mind. And then a positive weird experience was part of why I advise people to really do your research beforehand, like read the listing if you're booking on Airbnb or on HipCamp or on a site of a glamping place. Read what's coming. I don't do that.
You like to be surprised or mortified?
do what I say, not what I do. I'm a pretty like go with the flow traveler. And I will say I didn't fully read the listing and I booked my family at a really cute trailer. It was like a retro 70s trailer. It was yellow. It was so cute. And we get there and it comes with a pig.
Wait.
A pig. Her name was Maxine. She lives there. My son was like, great, amazing. This is our pig. There's like instructions for how to feed the pig. I kid you not. I booked this on Airbnb. And of course, my partner is like, oh my God, what did you do? But we had a great time. We're best friends with Maxine. She was a gigantic pig. And I think the owner lived on the property. So it was a little bit like if we weren't available to feed the pig, she was going to do it. Right. But we fed the pig. We loved Maxine. So yeah, you never know. You never know what you're going to get. And maybe that means do your research and maybe it means don't and be surprised.
Did it clearly say that it came with the pig?
Yeah, like if you scroll through like 2 more photos, you see this giant pig who lives at the like outside the trailer. But I had not scrolled through. I was just like, cute, booked.
Are you one to leave reviews after you stay at a place?
You know, because I am a travel writer, I will often be writing like a whole article rather than a review. I wouldn't really, I don't know. I don't write very many travel reviews, I don't think. I just use that for like journalism. I'm more likely to write a review of like, I have this on my to-do list to write a review of my son's orthodontist that we had a terrible experience with.
So you will.
I will do that.
If there's a bad one. As a content creator, is it truly possible these days to get away when there's so much pressure to capture the content? Do you feel that pressure when you are traveling and you are writing an article about these types of experiences, or are you able to put your phone down and actually truly relax?
I definitely do feel the pressure. It's also a lot of times it's just a requirement. Like if I'm going on a comp stay in exchange for an article or in exchange for social coverage, it's like pics or it didn't happen, or also you have to pay. So, but I will say I have been thinking, I do feel I can still relax. Like I will very much turn off all notifications. I don't have Slack on my phone. So I feel like I can be disconnected, but I am, yes, always still taking pictures. And I have been talking more with my partner recently about how we just need to get like a family camera, because that will be the window to no phones, really. Like just because of my career, we can't actually get away from the photos, but also I wouldn't want to. Like I love taking pictures. So I just want to get a good digital camera and then I'll be able to walk away from the phone.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a great idea. Do you have a particular glamping spot that you're looking forward to visiting this year?
Under Canvas is really the OG of glamping, and they're also a national chain. Feels like a cheap word. A national franchise, a national brand. There you go. And they have sort of safari style glamping accommodations in national parks around the country. And they have one in the Great Smokies. And that is on my list. It's one that I haven't visited yet, partly because it's far. It's, the Smokies are a 4-hour drive as opposed to closer to 2. But also because I'm confident it will always be there. It's just kind of a standby. And it does get pricey, but it also gets as low as, I think, $199 in the off season. So that's not too bad. And they have a really great setup where they have like a central sort of dining space where you can go and order food. A lot of people will rent it for weddings or something, or family reunions. So you can go and get a bunch of cabins in a cluster. And yeah, they have a lot of options. So that's what's next on my list.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's something to look forward to. My last question, though, I hate Valentine's, but it's coming up. Every year it happens. Final recommendation, one glamping spot close to Nashville, perfect for the lovers getaway.
It's the tea house, man. Is that weird to say it twice?
This. I mean, no, I think that's great.
Because that's a really good one. I think kids are allowed. I've actually never gone glamping without kids, which is wild to say. But it makes it a lot easier when you're planning to not go with kids.
Right, that's true.
But I was like writing about single mom travel was really like my brand for a while. And so I would go just like with my one son. And now that I have a partner and a whole other son, which is wild, I'm always thinking about like, where can we fit? Where does it make sense? And I will say when we visited the tea house, it's just so kind of vertiginous is the word. You're just like, wow, I'm here on a cliff. And it's just made me nervous to even have my 2-year-old there. Like he was going to just jump off because he's not very bright,
Uh-huh.
But if you're going for a romantic getaway, either the postcard cabins, if you're wanting to keep budget pretty buttoned up, like you could go in February for $95 on a weekday. That's amazing. And then you can just, hole up in the woods and, be naked through the mirror, the one side mirror window. But then, yeah, if you really want something special, the Grace Tea House on Lookout Mountain, you won't even believe that you're in Tennessee because it's like another world / Japan, which I know you love, Marie.
I love Japan. Yes. Wow, I've never heard of most of all of these. So this is just really blowing my mind that these exist 2 hours, 3 hours away from Nashville and just perfect for the winter getaway. So Amelia, thank you so much for coming on. This has been so educational. I can't wait to book one of these.
I hope you do. Thanks so much for having me. I always love to talk about weirdly shaped tiny houses. I'm like, give me a dome, give me a tree house, give me a tea house, all of the above.
I love it. Well, thank you. That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Be sure to follow Amelia E. Around the World on Instagram. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!